What is going on, everyone? Welcome back into another live edition of the Patriots Beat podcast here on the CLNS Media Network, presented by our wonderful friends over at Prize Picks and Game Time Tickets. It's Brian Hines, back as always with Alex Barth, head of Week 4. Patriots back home at Gillette Stadium, welcoming the Carolina Panthers to town off a big 30-0 win over the Atlanta Falcons. The Panthers are. And Barth, we might have some lineup changes in this one for the New England Patriots. Some performance-wise, we kind of talked about, excuse me, coming off the loss last week, and some due to injuries. And we'll start there with the injuries because good news, positive news, Christian Gonzalez has been limited again each practice this week. Seems to be trending in a positive direction, though, that he is playing this week. There's an update from Jordan Schultz today that he looks good to go. But, even just talking to him earlier in the locker room, believe that was Wednesday, he said he was excited about this week. So it seems like good news. Patriots are going to get Christian Gonzalez back in this one.
Yeah, and they'll need him, especially Xavier Legette's banged up. Hunter Renfrow missed some time of practice this week. Jalen Coker's obviously out. So it's all going to kind of run through Tet McMillan. If you can have Christian Gonzalez, take him out. And then, not that this ultimately matters to the game, but as a big picture kind of thing, that was the draft debate. Tet McMillan or Will Campbell, wide receiver tackle. How do you help your quarterback? So, it's a little extra salt in the wound if that guy comes in and beats you. So, big week to have Christian Gonzalez against Tet McMillan against a team that really funnels it all through one receiver.
Yeah, and you can finally hopefully see some of this, the cat-on-cat coverage that they've been wanting to run this whole time with Christian Gonzalez and Carlton Davis. They just haven't been able to do that. And I think, if you take out Tet McMillan and you assume Christian Gonzalez, he's healthy enough, even Carlton Davis, I think, could put up a really good fight and minimize Tet McMillan's impact for most of the game. If you take him out, Barth, where is the offense coming from with the Carolina Panthers in this game? Because I no disrespect to Bryce Young, but I have trouble seeing them move the football in this game if they can't get Tet McMillan going.
It's a great question. And now Chuba Hubbard gets added to the injury report today as well. So they're not in a good place. And Jatavion Sanders on there too. They're just not in a good place right now. They're really not. They're
down their center. Even though I heard their backup center might actually be better, but they're down their usual starting center, their usual right guard. So, you look at Milton Williams and Christian Barmore in there. They do have Chuba Hubbard, who's a pretty good running back, but the Patriots' run defense has been really good, one of the best in the league so far. So I really think, and especially if you have Christian Gonzalez, you can just kind of stack the box up there, stop the run, and then let those corners go to work in the secondary. And yeah, I don't see how Bryce Young is going to kind of move the football in this one, especially if you break out, a similar game plan, I think, to Miami, where you just kind of take away the middle of the field. And I don't think he's going to be hitting those, hole shots and sideline shots like Tua was. He's not very mobile. I just think this is a game that the Patriots defense could kind of take over, especially if Christian Gonzalez is in there.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's funny you bring up Miami. I think Bryce Young's going to play kind of similar to Tua, and his big weapon is how quickly he gets the ball out and kind of negates that pass rush, which has been the best part of the Patriots defense, but he's not throwing a Waddle and Hill. So if you can take away the guy he wants to go to, which is McMillan, and you tackle and don't allow those yards after the catch, it's going to be really hard for the Panthers offense to establish anything.
Where are you at with Bryce Young, just in general? Do you think he's cooked, or what do you think's going on there?
I thought the second half of last year was maybe a sign that he was on his way to taking off, and that hasn't totally happened yet. He's been kind of hit or miss to start the season, so we'll see. I'm not entirely writing him off, but I am somebody who there was this trend of, look, there's a lot of I want to figure out how to say this without just being kind of like an a-hole. There's a lot of talented quarterbacks throughout college football in terms of just the raw skill. I covering D3 football, I saw some very talented quarterbacks who were 5'11". And I think that's just a position where you have to have a certain amount of size. It's maybe not as important as it was 10 years ago or 20 years ago, but I do think it matters. And I think the NFL went through this trend, and that's why you get some of these quarterbacks who are really good in college and just don't translate to the NFL, like guys who dominate college and are 5th or 6th round picks and kind of forgotten about, because they just don't have the physical presence of a quarterback. And, I think the NFL went through a phase a couple years ago of basically saying, you know what, forget that. This guy's talented. Let's draft him and let's try it. And there was a run of first overall picks that all kind of fit that bill. Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, and Bryce Young. And I think that there's been varying degrees of success there. But I think there was essentially this run of teams basically being like, what if we draft short quarterbacks? Especially that you had not Drew Brees. Drew Brees is a massive anomaly. Guys that were mobile, and it's like, okay, we'll sacrifice some size, but we can get guys who move around. And I feel like that experiment's probably kind of over. Big picture in the NFL. I don't know how many 6'1" quarterbacks have gone high in the draft. Like his Young's the last one, right? Because he was 22, 23.
I believe so. And then was Drake? No, Drake's class was the year after him, because yet last year was.
Yeah. So, I mean, Caleb Williams a little on the shorter side, but he's not that small, and he's kind of an anomaly. I want to make sure before Caleb Williams like 6'1". Right.
And Caleb Williams has like the physical traits where if you were going to take a smaller quarterback, you would bet on that mobility and the arm talent and that type of stuff.
Bryce Young's 5'10". So
that's very, very small.
Caleb Williams kind of on the shorter side at 6'1", but Bryce Young was smaller. Obviously, again, going back, Justin Fields a little bit on the shorter side, but had some mobility. Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield's on the shorter side, but had some mobility. I think that was just kind of a phase the NFL went through. I was never a big believer in that. I was always somebody who was just kind of, and I liked Bryce Young in college, and I wasn't necessarily against him being an NFL quarterback. I didn't think he was a first overall pick. I think that size came with too much risk. And so I'm not willing to call him done yet, but that's like, I've been out on Kyler for a long time. And that's part of the reason. I think that there's, again, just a certain level of stature you need to play that position at the highest level. As a backup, as an experiment, day 2, day 3 pick, I'm not entirely against it, but I've just never been big on the undersized quarterback. That's just a personal preference of mine. As much as I like Bryce Young, like we did at Alabama, and there are parts of his game I think to justify that pick, you're asking a lot out of a guy of his stature.
I'm with you. Yeah.
It's random tangent, big picture football philosophy thought.
I just think it was kind of interesting, with another young quarterback, definitely different size and ability than Drake. And Drake seems like he's trending in a positive direction, where Bryce is trending in kind of that wrong direction. So just interesting, because it did seem like he kind of flipped the page at the end of last year and was, kind of going down a better path. But now he just hasn't looked as good to start the year. I actually asked a buddy who lives in Charlotte, like, how are people talking about him down there? And he was like, he actually texted me. He's like, they're a little bit better now that they got a win, but essentially they're trash. People hate Bryce Young. They also hate Xavier Legette, and then Bryce Young, they want to get rid of that guy, but they like Tet. So that's where Panthers fans kind of are right there. So shout out Harris for that observation and those notes down from Charlotte. But yeah, it seems like maybe that Bryce Young era down in Charlotte isn't going so well. So I do see a good game for the Patriots defense, especially again with Christian Gonzalez coming back, but offense, some lineup changes as well coming, and along the offensive line, which they'll have their hands full with Derek Brown and some talented guys up front. Different kind of story for the Panthers defense, I would say. Really good coordinator, up-and-coming coordinator, some real talent there. Starts with Derek Brown on the defensive line. And Barth, we haven't seen Jared Wilson, rookie left guard, at either practice this week. He kind of got rolled up on in that Pittsburgh game. He finished the game, but we haven't seen him this week. So who do you think, if he can't go, who do you think starts at left guard? And how do you think they go about replacing Jared Wilson in this one?
I would imagine it's Ben Brown. He was competing for that spot in camp. I think it makes the most sense. He actually played Derek Brown in college, Ole Miss at Auburn. They had a couple matchups. I asked him about that today. Diplomatic about it. He's a very different player now. I'm a very different player now. And it was 6-7 years ago. But if I'm the Panthers, and look, I think Ben Brown's a solid backup. I think he can give you stable play at that position. But if I'm the Panthers, backup left guard, rookie left tackle, that's what I'm hunting at with Derek Brown. Like that's the matchup I'm trying to exploit. No question.
Yeah. Do you think that changes? And I agree. I think it's going to be Ben Brown. Maybe you see Caden Wallace active as the backup, but do you think that changes anything they try to do offensively. You know, we've talked a lot about those runs to the left, and some of that has to do with, you know, Max Crosby and TJ Watt had been on the right side in you know, two of these early matchups. Do you think it's some more runs behind Onwenu, Morgan Moses, or do you think anything changes schematically when you take Jared Wilson out and you put Ben Brown in? Or we've seen him at times there in the summer. Let's just, you know, business as usual. We have some confidence that Ben Brown can just kind of fill in for a game or two here.
I feel like, and this is just me guessing, I feel like they're more driven by the opponent in the sense that, like, when they faced TJ Watt, when they faced Max Crosby, they did not run at them. They just did not run to the right side. And this is going to be interesting because they faced, you know, Miami doesn't really have an elite guy on their front. They just have kind of a collection of good players, but they don't have one guy that stands above the rest. They got like a bunch of B plus players, but they don't have that A plus guy. The Raiders had that and they avoided him. The Steelers have that and they avoided him. But those guys are both edge guys. This is the first time they're getting one of those A plus players, but he's in the middle of the defense. He's a tackle. He's not an end. So a little harder to run away from a defensive tackle, especially somebody as athletic and who can cover as much ground at that position as Derek Brown can. I'm actually really interested to see how they handle that. I think that's a bigger variable to me than Ben Brown being in there. Now, if it was a different position, that may be another story, right? If it's Marcus Bryant in for Will Campbell or Morgan Moses, I think that would probably impact it more. I think Ben Brown, the drop off from Jared Wilson to Ben Brown at this point in their respective careers probably isn't that significant. So I think it's more about how do they want to handle Derek Brown and avoiding him or doubling him or whatever they're going to do with him.
And he's someone who moves around a lot on that defensive line, like throughout the interior. So they're going to have to recognize where he is kind of before every snap and decide how they want to go about that. Their edge depth, like they drafted Nick Scorton, they drafted Princely, who I had his name during draft season, but I no longer remember how to pronounce Princely, his last name, from Ole Miss, the edge rusher. So a couple young guys on the edge there. Haven't really got a lot of pressure, like they're 30th in pressure rate in the league this year. So generating some pressure has been tough, but definitely Derek Brown can be a game wrecker on the interior. So that's kind of point number one, especially with Jared Wilson looking out. So those are two lineup changes, offense, defense, due to injuries. Again, Christian Gonzalez looks like he's going to be in. Jared Wilson missing 2 practices, might be out. I want to talk some potential lineup changes as well due to performance over the past few weeks. But before we do that, I also want to talk about our wonderful friends over at Prize Picks. Barth, you and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right and simple to play. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. And if you get your picks right, you could cash in. This week, a special max discount promotion live on the board right now. Jalen Hurts has been discounted to only needing to go for 1 passing yard. Yes, 1 passing yard during the Eagles versus Bucks game this Sunday. Bucks Eagles, always good games. So Jalen Hurts, just 1 passing yard again, and just add another player on top of that to your lineup. And if your picks hit, you can cash in. You can go Josh Allen, more or less than 270 pass yards, or pair that with the Patriot, Drake May, Travion Henderson, who we'll talk about here in a second, Stephon Diggs, and more. Barth and I will do our lineup as well, but make sure you guys take advantage of that special max discount promotion with Jalen Hurts. Again, only needing 1 passing yard in the Bucks versus Eagles game this Sunday. So download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup over on Prize Picks, where it is good to be right. All right. Barth, I mentioned Travion Henderson in that. Are we getting more Travion Henderson? What's going to happen with Ramondre Stevenson, Antonio Gibson? It's a tough kind of decision for Mike Vrabel this week. How do you think this running back room kind of sorts itself out in game action on Sunday against the Panthers?
Yeah, it's not easy. Look, I think a lot of people want to see Ramondre Stevenson bench. I think some people want to see him cut, which you got to slow down a little bit. But, you know, when Mike Vrabel said after the game last week, he said, we need him, like, he's right. They are going to need Ramondre Stevenson because the offense is much more explosive with him on the field than when he's not. And the reality is Travion Henderson doesn't have it going right now. He looks, I don't know if it's his vision or just a patience issue, but like he's just like running full speed into the line every time. And he's not letting blocks set up. He's not identifying holes. And that can change, but that's just where he's at right now. And Antonio Gibson, he fumbled last week as well, and he's kind of struggled to get things going. So, but Ramondre Stevenson fumbled twice, and you can argue a stagnant offense is better than a turnover-heavy offense. But at the end of the day, whether it's a 3 and out, you're turning the ball over, you're still giving the ball back to the other team. It's just a difference in field position. So, like, what do you do for this week? Like, long-term, you got to get Stevenson going again, and you can't let it get to a point where it's becomes such a mental issue for him that there's no coming back from it, short of a change of scenery. But I don't know how you can't play him if you can't trust him to hold on to the football. They don't have another option. I was kind of surprised they didn't add a back this week. That's the other thing. You can't just have 2 backs dressed on game day. Maybe they elevate Terrell Jennings, but to me, you look at. So people were wondering why Stevenson played after the second fumble last week. He was mainly just pass blocking. That's pretty much all he was doing. And he can still do that well. And you shouldn't. Ball security issues shouldn't be an issue just in terms of pass blocking. Like, that shouldn't come up, right? So I think he dresses. You see him 10 to 15 snaps primarily as a pass blocker. Maybe he gets the ball 1 or 2 times in low-stakes situations in order to just kind of get his confidence back up. And then what do you do with the rest of his touches? I think it's an even split between Gibson and Henderson, because you can't. Travion Henderson led the team in touches last week. He's second on the team with 30 on the season. He's only 2 behind Stevenson. You can't realistically put much more on his plate, because then you get to that tipping point where he was at Ohio State, where you're overworking him and he becomes less effective because of wear and tear. And the way he's running right now, the way he's running to contact, which he needs to do less, it's just not sustainable at 20 touches a game. So you can't put much more on his plate. I think you probably get him in a 15 to 18 touches, and then the rest go to Gibson, and you kind of split that 50-50. Is that the best outlook? Is that the best distribution of carries? Probably not. But I think I don't know where else you go from here. I don't know that there's a better option. I think at this point at running back, you have to make the best of what's quickly become a rough situation.
So the only thing that I could see that leads me to thinking that maybe they just keep going with Mondre is every time Vrabel has been asked about this, and even Josh McDaniels today, just about the turnovers, they are very quick to bring up that ball security and turnovers are not just an individual stat, right? And you look at all those fumbles on Sunday, both Mondre Stevenson fumbles, Mike Onwenu whiffed on blocks, and Mondre then got it punched out. The second one was just like an unbelievable play by Cam Hayward, shooting over like 3 gaps to punch it out. And then the Gibson one, like Mac Hollins misses a block and lets Peppers right in, 2 hands on the football, but Peppers' helmet on the ball pops that out. So I do wonder, that's probably just to help both of those players' confidence, right? You don't want to make this a mental thing, but I do wonder if there's some of that where, we need Mondre. He's been our best back. He's our only back to force more than 2 missed tackles. You see in Miami how the offense goes with him. Like, we do need him, and we're going to give him the football. But I also think there is a point, and as you kind of got at, like, he put the ball on the ground twice. There needs to be some kind of repercussions here. So you see more Antonio Gibson. Henderson just kind of handles the same amount of touches he's been handling, so you don't overwork him. And then Mondre works in on maybe 3rd down and pass pro. And I also wonder, like, if the opponent plays into this, like, they should be able to run the football against the Panthers and get out to a pretty big lead, you would hope. And then maybe they give Ramondre maybe some confidence carries with a big lead in the second half or something. But that is going to be very interesting, just how they kind of split this one up on Sunday.
Yeah. So to your point about, Vrabel and McDaniels continue to support Stevenson, I think that's more of a big picture thing than it is this week. I think there's a step back in his reps this week, but they're not done with him. He's not going to no longer have a spot in the offense. What was the other thing you said at the end there?
Just the opponent too. Like, if they're up big, Panthers, they're just.
Yeah, no, they should be like, this is a weaker defensive opponent, so that helps you out. The thing though you have to be aware of is whenever Stevenson has the ball, like, he's going to have an opportunity to get a lot of yards after contact, because the Panthers are going to be in no rush to bring him down. They're going to stand him up and be punching for the football. So that's something you have to watch.
And that's the thing with him. Like, a lot of his, like, that's where he's at his best, right? Making guys miss. That's what he brings to the table as a running back. But that's also when it feels like he makes the first guy miss, and then he's fighting for more contact. And that's when, someone comes in and punches the ball out. So that'll be interesting if he's going down quicker, right? Like, if it's a mental thing for him right now, like, he's probably going to go down quicker, not fight it for as much contact. And then it's like, all right, like that's your value as a running back. So that'll be kind of interesting to monitor as well. If he is out there and getting touches, like, is he still fighting for yards? Is he still making guys miss? Or is he kind of just going down, two hands on the football and losing some value as a runner there? So you have to kind of balance that. What's better, him just going down, getting what he can get and holding onto the ball, or you take that kind of risk reward with him breaking some big runs, but maybe putting the football on the ground. So that will be definitely a big one to watch. The other one kind of on that offense, this receiver split, Mike Vrabel was asked about both Chisholm and Kyle Williams. He said, he was hopeful Kyle Williams could get some more snaps. And Chisholm, he just said, that's been his choice. We've been rolling with 5 right now. So Chisholm's been inactive. Doesn't seem like he or this offense as a whole is in a rush to get much more snaps for either of those two guys. But, the receiver production as a whole has been down. We've talked a lot about Demario Douglas, especially after last week. So do you think we will see Chisholm active or more Kyle Williams, or one or another, or both? Any shakeup to that wide receiver room are you expecting this week?
I think we'll see more Kyle Williams. Vrabel did sound a little more immediate when he was asked about Williams this week than Chisholm, and I think that's the right call. For one, if you're going to take Pop off the field, you lose a lot of speed, and the Patriots facing more loaded boxes than anybody. You need somebody. They should be running Pop vertically more. They're not. Kyle Williams, they can. Certainly, I would hope they do. So you're going to lighten some of that up. I also I know people are saying about Efton Chisholm. If you're somebody who's saying Efton Chisholm should play over Kyle Williams, I want the receipts on you tearing apart the decision to draft Kyle Williams in the 3rd round, just eviscerating it, because there's a reason one guy was a top 100 pick and one guy was a draft. And it's nothing against Efton Chisholm.
75 pick.
Right. I think Chisholm should and will have a role in this offense eventually. What they need right now, he does not give them. Kyle Williams gives them that more than Chisholm. And I don't want to hear Chisholm would have fallen forward on the 4th and 2 play. Yeah, he probably would have. So would Kyle Williams. And the reality is, so would Stephon Diggs, who's going to be in that spot more when you put Kyle Williams at the Z. I know people don't want to hear draft position and, the better players should play. Kyle, you gotta play the guy. You can't go another season of the draft pick, top 100 receiver doesn't get on the field. On top of that, I think Kyle Williams is a better player. I think he's a better fit for what they're doing right now. I think he's the next guy up. It's his turn to be up. Efton Chisholm will get his chance. The other thing is Kyle Williams repped with the ones in the summer. Not a ton, but he did. Efton Chisholm didn't. And it goes back to something I was saying in the summer. Where's the chemistry between Efton Chisholm and Drake May right now? That's a chemistry-heavy position, because Kyle Williams, you're putting at the Z and moving Diggs to the slot, or putting at the X and moving Booty to the Z and moving Diggs to the slot. Chisholm, you're just putting at the slot. And that's a much more chemistry-reliant spot. So I think for a number of reasons, it should be Kyle Williams right now being the next one up, and I think it will be.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to see Efton Chisholm. I still got my penthouse suite there on Chisholm Island. I would love to see him, but again, you have the 69th overall pick in the draft who's got that explosive speed, that vertical threat. Let's try him out first here. So I'm with you. I would love to see more Kyle Williams, get him outside, maybe move Booty in, or, inside and Diggs in the slot.
I leave Booty at the X. I actually kind of like what Booty's doing at the X right now.
Okay.
Kyle Williams at the Z. That's me personally. I don't know how they're going to do it, but
either way, to get Kyle Williams on the field there, I think, that would work out well, because I do think Booty's been playing well, so maybe you don't want to mess with that, but, just get that explosiveness. We saw out, in college what he can do with the ball in his hands. They don't have much yak anywhere on the field right now, so get some of that on the field and get that vertical threat. I would love to see more Kyle Williams, but I don't think we're just going to see a boatload of Kyle Williams all of a sudden. I just think he's still going to get
kind of. It's going to be more, but not a lot.
Yeah, and keep easing them in as the season goes. But I would like some point in the second half of the year where you're like, okay, we are getting a consistent boatload of Kyle Williams and he's performing and playing well. I think that's the kind of natural progression you are looking for here. So those are the other two big lineup changes we'll be looking for on the offense, running back and wide receiver. Barth, we got to talk a lot about special teams, but before we get into that, we'll also do our prize picks lineup in college football a little bit, and just anything else in general, big picture, any players that you are looking at specifically in this matchup on Sunday.
Sorry, say that again.
Just anything in total that we haven't talked about from the lineup changes, any players, any scheme changes you want to see, anything from Zach Core, who's still calling defensive plays.
Just do we still see? I mean, the two changes they made last week defensively, I don't know how much we'll see Charles Woods, because Christian Gonzalez, if Christian Gonzalez comes back, that kind of just takes that spot out of the corner rotation. Do we continue to see as much Jack Gibbons and less Christian Ellis? Does Marte Mapu work in more? Just how do they build off those changes they made last week?
Yep. I'll give two things on offense. We've been talking a lot about the moving pockets. Love those. I wonder if they start incorporating those a little bit earlier in the script, because that seemed, especially last week against Pittsburgh, that seemed to kind of settle Drake down. You know, they ran it on the first, I think the first or second play of the second quarter, got a 15-yard gain, and then they were kind of rolling after that touchdown drive, and then they had the long drive after that. So I wonder if they move that up in the script, because it just seems, you know, you get him on the move a little bit, he seems to kind of settle in and calm down. And my second thing, Barth, we were talking about this at the stadium. I have to call my shot. I called my shot last week.
Yeah,
that Kyle Williams would get the big long touchdown. Didn't work, so I'll call our shot. Dave Canales yesterday said the Patriots kind of just do what they do. They don't do a lot. They do what they do. So Josh McDaniels, you know, he was probably licking his lips and dialing something up for that. I don't know if we can put this in our prize picks lineup, but
does he take that personally?
Drake, what?
Does he take that? Does Mike Vrabel take it personally that Dave Canales said his team doesn't do much?
I will get the Michael Jordan meme ready and quote tweet that. So when Drake May catches a pass on Sunday, we will have that ready, and Josh McDaniels takes that personally. So
what about some no trickeration on defense or special teams? I don't know how much trickeration you can do on defense, I guess, but
yeah. Well, I guess special teams, and I do want to talk about these dirty knuckleball kicks. But if you want to see these dirty knuckleball kicks, Game Time, best place to get your football tickets this season, because the Game Time app gives the advantage back to fans. It's the hack for unlocking amazing tickets and experiences in a few taps, and it's incredibly easy to use. And the Game Time guarantee means you can trust you'll get 100% authentic tickets on time and at the best price, plus fees are always included. So what you see is what you pay. Panthers at Patriots at Gillette Stadium on Sunday. I think it's been a rainy week here in Foxboro. I think it's going to be cloudy, but the rain is going to hold off on Sunday. Cheapest get in, $83 on the Game Time app, or you can fire up a great super deal. Move down to the lower bowl 100 levels, $200. I'm seeing $191 right in the press box corner. You can watch it in our vantage point, just down in that lower level. Great spots, great view to watch a game there. So make sure you guys are using Game Time to take the guesswork out of buying all your football tickets. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download the Game Time app today. All right. Wrap this up with special teams before we hit our prize picks lineup. Panthers special teams, Barth, is fun to watch. Mike Vrabel said he spent 2 hours watching their kickoffs the other night, and that's because they're using this kind of one of the two teams. The Rams are the other one, or I guess a lot more teams, because, you know, Springer said the Patriots have experimented it a couple of times, but it's really the Panthers and the Rams are doing it the best right now. These kind of knuckleball kickoffs, they just kind of die, and then they bounce all around. The Falcons had really tough time last week handling these. In the they have the best opponent start drive in the league at the 21-yard line. So this is going to be kind of interesting to watch unfold, and a good test for the Patriots return team handling these as well.
Yeah, the Patriots return team has been one of the better units in the league. So real strength on strength matchup. As much as we talked about turnovers on offense, don't go botching one of these, you know, kick returns and now turning the ball over on defense. Can't have that.
Yep. I mean, I guess the best way to not handle these is don't let them score, right? So we've talked about that Patriots defense should shut them down. So maybe you don't see much of these, but if they have a chance to kick off, that you probably will see this kind of knuckleball lands at the 15. I posted some clips the other day. They are tricky to handle, and they bounce all around, and you get backed up in your own zone. Or Sprainer was even saying, when the ball is on the ground, that's when you're having to hold blocks longer, and that's when penalties start. So you can start pretty backed up in your own zone, and then you have to go on those long drives, and that's not good. So the Panthers special teams is good to watch. He did say, Springer too, that Borregales has been trying these. They did 2 in Miami. One worked really well, and then the other was that last one that went out of bounds, and they had the penalty, took it at the 40. So still kind of inconsistent, but Patriots are trying this, so we'll see if they break that out as well. But that new knuckleball is in football, because I don't think we were trying to think about today. Is there any knuckleball pitchers in baseball left? I don't think so, right?
Not off the top of my head. No, not right now.
I think R.A. Dickey was the last one. So
yeah,
knuckleball's a football thing now, apparently.
Yeah.
So all right, that'll be fun to watch. But let's get into it. Let's get into our prize.
Wait, we're not gonna do the blue uniforms?
Oh yeah, blue on blue this week. Blueberries are back. Gross. Yep. I don't like it.
I don't mind it once or twice a year. It's an okay as a change up look. It shouldn't be every week. It'd be better in prime time. They should have worn it next week against the Bills wearing all white. But yeah, just limit it. Just once or twice a year. That's it. I don't need to see it a ton.
Just win it. Because if you have to go back and watch the loss,
well, so here's the thing.
That's
it's not great, but I think it's 15 and 18, 14 and 18, 15 and 18 in the Blueberries since they became the primary uniform. They're 3 and 8 in blue and silver. So they've actually been much better. They've been about 500 in Blueberries, a little under 500 in Blueberries. They've been atrocious in the blue and silver.
Max rookie year, they were in the Blueberries, right? That was like the
first.
Right.
That was the second year, because the Cam year they were in the Blueberries too.
So the Mac year definitely helped that rookie year.
Right. And they didn't bring the silver pants back. They wore them once, I think, in 23. No, 22.
They won the Gesicki game. That was like a big against the Bills.
No, well, the first game they wore them was the Bears Monday Night Football nightmare.
Yeah, that was some game. The Bailey Zappi comes in mid-game. Ugh.
That's honestly... Maybe that should have been a sign that the blue and silvers should have been put away for a while.
I think a lot of us were like, we're never going to see these things again after that.
Right. That's right, because it was so bad.
But yeah, blue on blue this week, so just win with it. And then, yeah, you said white on white. Buffalo's going white on white next week, so they'll have to wear their blue next week. And then, are they home week 6? Who's week 6?
No, then that's the first of 3 road games in a row. So the white jerseys, which are the better ones. The white jerseys are coming. It's going to be a couple more weeks.
All right. And I like the white on silver. The white on blue is classic.
The white on blue is better, but I don't hate mixing in the white on silver a little bit.
The white on silver, just sprinkle that in every now and then. I didn't mind that. So the road uniform is definitely better. It's sucked they haven't been able to wear them through the first 6 weeks, but we'll get them soon. But blue on blue Sunday at Gillette. So Panthers wearing white, I would imagine. No, they can't go black, so white, I imagine. So all right, let's hit our prize picks lineup right there. Anyone jump out to you at first?
What do they got for Ramondre?
Ramondre Stevenson, 32.5 rush yards. Here you go. First rush attempt, Ramondre Stevenson, more or less than 3.5 yards.
How many total rushes?
I don't think they have that.
Do we go less on rushing yards if we think that they're just really not going to play them?
All right, we can go less. Less than 32.5 rush yards. So do you think Henderson has 11.5 longest rush, also 11.5 rush attempts?
I think you go more on that.
More on the attempts.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Any receiver you think is going to have a good game? Diggs, 37.5 receiving yards. Booty, 28.5 receiving yards. I could see Booty.
More on that feels about right.
Yeah.
What do they have for Pop? Let's go through all the guys we think are going to get benched.
Pop, I saw they might just have more than half a touchdown for Pop, it looks like. So They're kind of shying away from those guys as expected.
Is that one of those ones that kills the?
It's yeah.
All right, so
you have to go. You have to go more. So you would have to pick him to score.
Oh, we can't even pick less. Okay, never mind. Skip it.
We go back to Drake May, longest rush, more than 11.5.
I feel like he's going to be a little more timid in the pocket after last week with turnovers.
Okay. More or less than 1.5 pass touchdowns.
I think he's averaging 2 touchdowns a game right now.
Yeah, more there.
Yeah.
All right, and then we'll go to the Panthers here. I don't even know Panthers.
Just give me a more on Ted McMillan, I think.
That's like, because you would imagine, we were just saying, Christian Gonzalez should shut him down, but they might be trailing and just have to throw the ball so much.
Yeah.
That he piles up some garbage time stats here. I don't know if he's even. Oh, yeah, right here. 24.5 longest reception, 67.5 receiving yards, 5 receptions.
Say that again.
67.5 receiving yards, 5 receptions, 24.5 longest reception.
More than 5 receptions feels about right.
All right, we'll go more there. They pepper Tech McMillan. And then do you have a sicko game? So someone else could pair the Jalen Hurts promo, more than 1 passing yard. We're going to go for the multiplier and go to our sicko game.
So there's a couple contenders. We can't do one of the Monday night games, right? It's got to be Sunday.
We could probably do Monday.
Because, Jets Dolphins is brutal.
Yeah. The whole Monday slate is brutal.
That's
Jake
true.
Browning, Bo Nix after.
Yeah. Well, you also, Carson Wentz versus Aaron Rodgers in the year 2025. And it's not even in London, right? It's in Ireland at 8:30 in the morning is pretty egregious.
Hey, we won our Carson Wentz square last week, so we were up.
That's right, we did.
Carson Wentz got
We did Carson Wentz last week. Can we do Bears? Can we do Jets, Dolphins?
Yeah. Tua? Or do we know if Tyrod or...
No, we don't know.
Let's go. Tua's down bad right now. Did you see his comments today?
No.
He was like... I think he was... I don't know what Cam Newton said about him, but he was responding to Cam Newton. He was like, I would like to see all these people come off the streets and play quarterback. It's not as easy without a clicker or anything. He is down bad right now. He is...
Mike McDaniel, how about more than a half Dolphins firing after the game? They're probably going to win this game.
I don't. Tua is more or less than 1.5 pass touchdowns, more or less than 227.5 pass yards.
What do you think?
Or 2.5 rush yards. Does he even run any? Do they let him out of the pocket?
No,
probably not.
Honestly, and that Jets defensive front's going to have him wrapped up. Maybe less than 2. That's also just a sicko pick.
Less than 2.5 rush yards for Tua. All right, we'll throw that in. So.
Imagine this is about to hit, and then watch the game Monday night. Tua starts scrambling. No.
But then they're winning, and he takes 2 kneel downs and he clocks it.
Oh, you're right. You're right. That's good.
So here's our lineup: Drake May, Moore. Oh wait, did we put Drake May in, or did I accidentally click that?
What was it?
Drake May more than 250.5 pass plus rush yards. Oh no, we meant to do touchdowns.
Yeah,
I'll switch that. So Drake May more than 1.5 pass touchdowns. Kayshon Boutte more than 28.5 receiving yards.
I actually don't. You go back. I leave it the way to actually like 250 total yards more.
Total yards. All right. So
that was what you said. Run plus pass, right?
Yeah, it's total.
Yeah, keep that one. Yeah, keep that one there.
All right. Mondre less than 32.5 rush yards. Travion Henderson more than 11.5 rush attempts. Tet McMillan more than 5 receptions on the other sideline. Hopefully a lot of garbage time work for him. And then Tua Tagovailoa less than 2.5 rush yards. Of course, that is your power play, 6 of 6. First place pays 37.5 time multiplier. So entry, if you want to put that $5 on, again, promo code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. If you put $5 on that lineup, you win 167.5. And then if you want to put that 50, you get instantly in lineups, you win $1,675. So great payouts on that lineup. Again, we will tweet that one out as we do before kickoffs. and you guys can play along with us if you would like to. Again, on Prize Picks, promo code CLNS, get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. All right, that's the winner. I'm feeling good. So
feel really good about that.
All right. Any last thoughts, or we can get on out of here? Go watch some Thursday Night Football.
And that's pretty much it. Well, I got to go. I will be on with Joe Murray at 8:20. So
all right, so go listen to
that
Barth.
if you're listening live.
Go listen to Barth as kickoff starts. You can also go to 985thesportshub.com to read all his Patriots coverage at Real Alex Barth on Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter at I am Brian Hines and head over to patspulpit.com for our coverage. And as always, make sure you guys are locked on to Patriots Press Pass. Like, subscribe, turn on those notifications so you know when we're going live. We'll be back after the weekend to break down Panthers at Patriots. Hopefully a win to get to 2-2. And if you were just audio only, subscribe wherever you get your podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere else you do that as well. Please subscribe there as well. So again, thanks everyone for jumping on with us tonight. Have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy the football, and we will see you guys back next week.
Bye.